With these three new products, Valve's ecosystem of hardware is slowly coming together. The Steam Deck for portable gaming, and these three new items for everything else. But who are these products for? My first thought was that it isn't for me, because I have a powerful gaming PC already, and a Valve Index. But maybe these things are for me, since they promise to be a more comfy, cozy, living room alternative to my quite hardcore gaming setup. Because these new products are here to simplify and to streamline PC gaming, to lure people away from consoles by offering an actual PC equivalent. And they're doing this by making products that are immediately accessible and hopefully at very competitive prices. I really need to hammer home how critical the pricing of these products is. The lower, the better. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a tight ass and I'm saying it from a consumer's perspective. I'm saying that from Valve's perspective as well. And they're in the best position to offer these things at the lowest possible price. Because unlike other companies which intend to make a profit from the sale of hardware, for Valve, it's merely a ploy to get more people into the Steam ecosystem, and that's where they make their real money, from selling games to people. Look at the Steam Deck, for instance. It ushered in a wave of other handheld gaming machines, but I think most of these missed the point. They aim to be bigger and better, faster and more powerful, and more expensive. Oops! The Steam Deck approached it the opposite direction by offering the bare minimum across the board, but at a super low and affordable price. There was a time when, if somebody wanted to get into PC gaming on the cheap, I'd just point them in the direction of the Steam Deck, because not only is it a cheap little gaming PC, but it also comes with other perks like portability and practicality. And these are wonderful extras that not even my multi-thousand-pound mega gaming PC can provide. So when I look at the Steam machine, I see its price as being equally important. It is, after all, just a slightly customised PC in a box, but with added conveniences of Valve SteamOS. I've actually been a bit surprised to see so many news sites speculating about how expensive this thing will be, stating that Valve doesn't care and they can do what they want with it. Well, that doesn't sound like Valve to me. Looking at the specs of this device, considering Valve's business model and looking at how cheaply they managed to make the Steam Deck, I reckon they'll be going for an at-cost design with the Steam machine, because the cheaper it is, the more attractive it looks versus alternatives like the consoles, which is what this thing is competing against, and the more likely it will be to become a must-have device even for people with gaming PCs already. So what is at cost with this device? Well, I tried to get all the parts together on a site and it came to about £600–700. But remember that Valve has close ties with AMD, economies of scale and all that, so they will get this level of power for less than we can. If you want wild speculation, I'm going to say £500 for the Steam machine. Fight me. It's a huge opportunity for Valve. The hardware market is turbulent, there aren't many cheap PC options available right now, and that is a threat for Valve, who, remember, makes their money from selling games, so they want the hardware to be affordable. So I reckon they will be making the Steam machine incredibly appealingly priced. But what will its performance be like? Valve states it offers 6 times the performance of the Steam Deck. Given that it consumes about 10 times the amount of power, yeah, good. And this should make it enough to be a decent PC for all sorts of tasks, and they claim it will be enough to run 4K, provided you use upscaling. And that's the key bit there. Valve isn't attempting some new performance paradigm with this thing. They're trying to establish a sensible baseline moving forward for gaming on a TV. And inside this machine is a 6-core Zen 4 processor, which is sort of like a decent entry-level gaming PC sort of standard. It's got a graphics card based on RDNA 3, sporting 28 CUDA cores? No, that's a compute unit. Oh, Jesus. And 8GB of VRAM. This makes it roughly equivalent to a last-gen Radeon 7 600M, which isn't very exciting, but it is to be expected. Ideally, I'd have wanted RDNA 4, simply for its improved FSR4 upscaling, which would really have helped aid this machine in its goal to upscale stuff to 4K. As it is, based on RDNA 3, it has a visually inferior FSR3 upscaler and generally worse ray tracing performance. But whatever, these custom designs always lag behind the cutting edge by a few years. They hopefully trade that mediocre performance for a much more affordable price. Fingers crossed. Again, Valve are offering the Steam machine in several SSD storage sizes, so you can choose between 500GB or 2TB. Now you might imagine this is a missed opportunity for Valve. Wouldn't it be more interesting if they offered a slightly more expensive Steam machine with more powerful hardware in it instead? but that would undermine what the Steam machine sets out to achieve. It's intended to be a standard for developers to develop for, and for Valve to optimize their game settings for when you run on the Steam machine. The moment you segment it into different tiers, it fragments everything and complicates it across the board. So they keep all Steam machines the same speed and instead segment them based on storage size. This is exactly what they did with the Steam Deck as well. At release, the pricing difference between the cheapest 64GB version and the most expensive 512GB one was significant. It was like almost double the price. But then storage cost a huge amount back then. I remember looking up the NVMe drives inside the Steam Deck and they did cost hundreds of pounds, before plummeting soon after this device was released. And the last thing I want to talk about is the RAM. The Steam machine has 16GB of system memory and 8GB of VRAM, which is controversial. This is an amount that cards have had for 10 years now. In the PC scene, people have been arguing for years that 8GB is no longer enough, and that VRAM amounts in budget graphics cards are being artificially restricted to incentivize upselling to more expensive models. And I think these days people put 12 or even 16GB of VRAM as being sensible investments if you're buying a PC today. So we'll just have to see how the Steam machine fares with just 8. Clearly Valve has confidence in that amount. Already though, you're looking at lower settings in modern games like the latest Indiana Jones for example, which will present a real challenge to get running at 4K even with upscaling. Given the recent news of RAM price increases, maybe it was for the best that Steam machines target the bare minimum, making its end price less susceptible to pricing fluctuations. But assessing a product like the Steam machine is more than just weighing up the sum of all its parts. You have to look at the big picture. No, not that one. That sucks. I'm excited about these announcements for another reason, because it looks like they haven't abandoned VR. They've just gone back to the drawing board and made it more accessible, which is always the biggest problem with the Valve Index. I see it almost as like the polar opposite to the Steam Deck. With the Steam Deck you can just pick it up, press a button and you can play any game instantly. VR on the other hand requires a huge amount of hassle and time to set up, which makes it inaccessible, which means people don't run it as much as they maybe want to. With these new products, playing in VR is as simple as shifting your coffee table out of the way. Much more accessible. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't get too excited about the Steam Control. I'm sure it'll be great, but for me, this announcement is all about the Steam machine and what its hardware tells us about the future of Valve's plans. Maybe the Steam Deck 2 will target Steam machine levels of performance, but maybe at 1080p resolution instead of 4K. Still a while off before that technology is possible though, so. For now, we look at the Steam machine and what it alludes to. It will be a decent spec for Valve's games to target moving forward. Like, well, CS2, Deadlock, Left 4 Dead 3. It's also enough to run VR, like Half-Life Alyx or Half-Life 3. Oh yes. Especially with the announcement of the Steam frame. Let's go.